All right, today we're diving into a story that's, well, legendary. It's about a transformation so powerful it's almost hard to believe. We're talking about a woman who took the most crushing grief you can imagine and turned it into a source of incredible, unbreakable strength.
You know, it's a question that really gets you thinking, right? How can the deepest pain actually make someone stronger? Well, the life of a poet named Al-Khansa might just hold the answer. Her story? Man, it is definitely one for the ages.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this incredible change, we gotta go back to the beginning. We need to understand who she was before all this happened. And honestly, she was a person of huge contrasts, a true artistic genius, but at the same time, someone completely drowning in sorrow.
So her actual name was Tamadir bint Amr, but pretty much everyone knew her by her nickname, Al-Khansa. And back in the pre-Islamic era, she was a superstar. No question about it, one of the most famous poets around. Her specialty? Elegies. You know, these incredibly powerful poems all about mourning and loss.
And this is what's so fascinating about her. You've got this brilliant poet, just a master of language, totally unmatched in her skill. But then, on the flip side, her entire life, her whole identity was just consumed by this bottomless grief for her brother Sakhr. She just could not get over his death.
And I mean, this wasn't just a phase. This grief was her life. It defined her. She wrote endless poems about Sakhr. It's even said she cried so much, so constantly, that she almost lost her eyesight. Think about that. Her fame as this amazing poet was tied directly to her sorrow. They were inseparable.
But then, a major shift happens. Something comes into her life that's going to change everything. A new perspective. A totally different way of looking at loss, at purpose, and at what it means to be strong.
When Al-Khansa embraced Islam, it wasn't just like she checked a different box for her religion. No, this was a complete fundamental rewiring of her whole being. All that incredible emotional energy that she'd been pouring into grief for years, it got redirected. It transformed into this deep, faith-filled patience. And for the first time, really, her heart started to find some peace.
So she has this new peace, this new faith, but it's about to be put to the ultimate test. I mean, a test you can barely even imagine. And this next part of her story is what will truly define her legacy, not as the poet of grief, but as something so much more.
All right, picture this. The year is 14 AH. We're at the Battle of Al-Qadisiyyah, this massive, historic clash between the Muslim army and the mighty Persian Empire. And Al-Khansa is there. She's an older woman now, but she's not there to write poetry. She's there as a mother.
And she didn't just show up. She brought her sons with her, all 4 of them, and she was about to send them right into the thick of it, into one of the most brutal battles of that time.
So, on the morning of the fight, she pulls her 4 sons aside, and she gives them this incredible speech. She basically reframes their entire reality with one single, powerful idea. She tells them to stop focusing on this world, this fleeting life, and to focus instead on what comes next, on the eternal.
I mean, her approach was just brilliant. She hit all the right notes. First, she reminded them, you chose this path, you chose Islam willingly. Then she tapped into their sense of honor, their family pride. She paints this vivid picture of the reward waiting for them in the afterlife. And then she gives them a direct order. When the battle gets crazy, when it's at its worst, that's when you charge forward. No retreat. And her words worked. Her sons fought with unbelievable courage, and all 4 of them were martyred that day. Can you just imagine being her, waiting for news? First the word comes, Yazid has fallen, then Muawiyah, then Amr, and finally Amara. All 4 of her sons, gone, in just one day.
So what happens now? How does the woman who almost cried herself blind over the death of one brother react to losing all 4 of her sons? Well, her response is just staggering. No tears, no poems of grief. Instead, she says this. She expresses gratitude. She didn't see it as a tragedy. She saw it as an honor from God. And that reaction, right there, is what cemented her legend. Her legacy was no longer about being a great poet. It was about this unbelievable spiritual transformation. So let's take a look at how the people around her, the people who knew her before, saw this incredible change. When you put it side by side, the change is just night and day. Before Islam, all her energy went into crying, into mourning. After Islam, it was all about patience and sacrifice.
Her reaction to loss? It went from a total breakdown over one brother's death to actual gratitude for the martyrdom of 4 sons. Her whole purpose in life shifted from remembering the dead to seeking something much bigger.
Even the Caliph at the time, Abu Bakr, who was a big fan of her old poetry, pointed this out. He basically said, look, her poetry in the old days was for one person, for her brother. But her character now, in Islam, that's for something else entirely. It was like her faith had built a whole new person from the ground up.
And yeah, that's ultimately how people remembered her. Her incredible talent as a poet was totally overshadowed by her reputation as this shining example of faith and sacrifice. She became, in effect, a walking, talking lesson in how powerful belief can be, how it can completely change who you are at your very core.
Which brings us all the way back to that first question we asked. What Al-Khansaa's story seems to tell us is that the real measure of strength isn't about not feeling pain or avoiding it. It's about what you do with it. So I'll leave you with this. Is true strength just enduring your sorrow? Or is it finding a way to transform that sorrow into something with a greater purpose?